Afternoon all. Let's have a look at today's Master Games just for a laugh. So there's 17 of you. What are you guys all doing? Look at my bullet games, my rubbish bullet games on this fantastic live stream channel, King's Crusher TV, as it's otherwise known. So, hi all. So let's have a look at the Master Games from today. So I usually go to chessgames.com, so I'm going to flip to chessgames.com and have a look at today's decisive games. What are the white wins today? What day is it today? 15th. Actually, what are the latest games which we haven't seen? Carlsen versus Nisipeanu. I thought that was going nowhere. I thought it was going to be a draw this game, if it's the one I'm thinking of. Seemed quite quiet to start off with. So we'll copy the PGN into here. Paste. Okay, so we've got the game. Okay, I'm just going to quickly just check the game again, just for my own. Forget this, I'm not commentating for the moment. I want to get the gist of it. I thought Carlsen didn't have much from the opening. So okay, he picked up the bishop pair there. Strange g4. He's pushing on the king side. He's marked f6 there. I'm just going to do like a 2 or 3 pass analysis. So he sacks the a pawn. Okay, king side pressure, and then here black resigns. Wow. Okay, so we're going to go over that in slow motion. So Queen's Gambit declined. No, accepted. Queen's Gambit accepted. E3. So solid move, keeping the bishop at home. Just wants to regain the pawn. Nothing to fear at the moment from black. E6. So white ends up usually with an isolated queen's pawn, but he captures away from the centre. So he's not allowing himself to be saddled with the isolated queen's pawn. But he's accelerating black's development a bit. But this structure is kind of solid, isn't it? This structure here. This bishop's a bit of a problem bishop. So I guess, you know, later he wants to, as the game shows, he's going to try and put the bishop on this diagonal. But there's no isolated queen's pawn. Matt's 123 writes resignation and nearly an hour more on the clock for Magnus. I just thought there was nothing in the position. It seemed ultra dry when I checked it. I thought it was just going to be a draw. Okay, the king couldn't castle. So bishop e2. I just thought, does black have much to fear here? I thought. Doesn't look that much. Knight d2. I thought, you know, big deal. What has white got here? But on the other hand, there's a slight superiority of this bishop maybe getting onto these dark squares soon. So bishop d7, but knight b3. Okay, where does the bishop go? Is there a problem if it goes to a7? It actually went to d6, so I wonder if a7, there's some issue there, like knight a5. I can't really see it at the moment. He moves it to d6. Sorry, Fire Whites, who are the players and what colour are they playing? This is Magnus Carlsen against Nisipeanu. Sorry, I'll just show you the names there. You see that? Carlsen against Nisipeanu, Bazna King's Tournament 2011. Is that better? Can you still see the board if I put it that size? Or should I shrink back the board? Is that okay still? So I didn't think white had anything here when I looked at it. I thought this is going to be a boring, dull draw. In fact, I was thinking no wonder people like my 5-minute games on the ICC. They're like more interesting than this stuff. But no, somehow Carlsen won this. So knight a5. Okay, hitting the pawn. Why can't the pawn just move forward, say to b6? Is it some pouncing, or is it going to be going to c4? It's not going to over there, is it? It'll be like swallowed in the position. So I think he doesn't play b6. So maybe if b6 knight c4 is an issue, hitting like b6 and d6. So instead this artificial looking move rook a7. So is black being positionally tortured here by Magnus? Seems a bit quiet though, the position. So knight c4 anyway. there's almost an idea tactically maybe of e4, bishop e3, the rook moves, then knight b6, the rook moves again, then knight takes d7. Maybe that's a tactical idea behind the scenes here. Although that doesn't quite work, because there's always, if the knight takes, then black's on that c5 square and can block. Just a thought anyway. So b3. So now there might be an idea of knight takes d6 and bishop a3, but at the moment the bishop's pinning that knight to the bishop on e2. Okay, so bishop b2. So all Magnus is doing is just strengthening his dark square control. That's kind of aesthetic. The knights are all on e5. This is Nimzovician overprotection of e5. e5 is the key square. If you're going to overprotect a square as white, e5 is the most common square to overprotect, because in theory your forces are gaining strength and are coordinated naturally by overprotecting the key central square. It's a form of prophylaxis as well. So there's no real direct threats probably here, except if this bishop was protected, then knight d6 and bishop a3 might be menacing. So black's king is slightly vulnerable. So bishop takes c4. So he gives up voluntarily the bishop pair. So why would he do that? Interesting. I'm loath to stick on an engine or anything. Let's just see this game again. So bishop takes c4. Maybe he just is interested in setting up some sort of blockade on d5 or playing b5 here. Okay, no, just knight c6. Rook a8. The rook's coming back to normal places. c8 maybe soon. g6 slightly weakening the dark squares. So I wonder what the idea of that is. g6. Bit of a mystery. g4. I mean, it looks as though this is justified now to try and mark out these dark squares with g5 later. But he doesn't want g5, knight h5, surely. He wants to just gain space gradually. So bishop f1, rook c1. I mean, it looks pretty. The position looks... How does this position look to you guys? I think it looks like a sort of mature positional advantage here with the bishop pair. And I don't know why black is weakening the dark squares with g6. Do any of you guys have a clue about that? Why would g6 have been played here anyway? h3 and black now plays g6. What was all that about? Anyone? Or should we just leave it as a mystery? So he can play g5. Who can play g5? Black's just played g6. I don't know. Weakening diagonal. Let's carry on anyway. So we have here maybe white's better. I guess white's better. Is this pawn vulnerable? Just tactically out of interest. Knight b4. Is that going to be any use? Probably not. Knight d5. So h4. Maybe he's going to play h5 soon. No, he plays g5. So he's marking out these dark squares. Takes, and now maybe if the bishop moved, the king moved, this rook could come around the corner. So the king has moved. So he's preparing maybe a rook round the corner maneuver. So knight b6. Where is that knight going? Where are these knights going anyway? Knight b6 doesn't really do anything. It's not coming into these two squares. Maybe he just wants an exchange of rooks. So bishop d3. Okay. So maybe the bishop can be tucked over here. I don't know, to protect this, just in case knight b4 is a threat. Bishop e4, not bishop b1. So he hits back at b7. Now knight takes a2 is used. See, I told you a2 was a bit of an issue. So takes on d8. Then rook h1. Forget trying to you can't regain the pawn. His rook's attacked. So he plays rook h1. So all of a sudden, white's got better activity. This knight's a bit out of play at the moment. So this is an interesting position because these bishops are kind of getting to be kind of dangerous looking in this position. The position's more open than before, and the rook's also got access to the 7th rank here, and that could be causing a lot of damage, something like rook h7. So knight e5 actually is also pretty dangerous for f7. Actually, this doesn't look good with the rook and king here. It's difficult to defend f7, in fact, now. If the f pawn moves, then knight g6. How is actually black defending f7? What is this knight doing over here? That is materialism. So f5. Right. And now, okay, one would be tempted for en passant, but then there's bishop f6 and the knight will be pinned to that bishop. Bishop takes d5 was played. So what's the idea here? Is this check really like dangerous now, for example? In fact, it seems black resigned here. So I think we should engine check this position to see why black resigned. Right, so apparently it is a big advantage. So e takes d5. Check. King c7. Ah, now rook h7. Look at that. Rook h7. Ah, you see, look. If rook e8, then knight takes g6, for example. If king d6 though, bishop a3 check. Ouch. Look at this, guys. King takes rook is mate. Look at that. Beautiful line. That would be mate. So the king can't step in. Rook e8, there's knight takes g6, I guess. Yeah, knight takes g6 here. And then you've still got the bishop a thing menace. And if there, you still just take... And then you've got bishop f6 as well, skewering the thing. So there's no defense here of e7. So this is beautiful, that this simple use of the 7th rank after check, you know, with the bonus pin here, rook h7, is such a killing idea. Are you all convinced that black is busted here? The engine's saying black's busted. All convinced? This position is lost, isn't it? So all Magnus did in the final phase was just take and then throw in the check and then rook to the 7th. How strange, because I really thought earlier I couldn't see what Magnus was playing at in the opening. Did you guys think it was just equal here? It didn't look as though anything was going on, and in fact you usually, you're usually happy to have a nice static queen's pawn to get the usual, like, attacking schemes, this sort of thing against h7. But here Magnus just takes on c5, and it didn't look as though, what was the big deal here? One question: why couldn't black, take on d1 here, so he could castle naturally? Would that have been such a bad idea? If we add a kibitzer here, bishop c5 is given, or queen d1 is given as a slightly better move, Why did he need to leave his king in the centre? So, okay, white's slightly advantageous, but even more so in this line. So he loses the right to castle. Okay, which might not be a big deal if there's not much going on. Yeah, Mats123 writes, great pawn sack at a2. Materialism means punished once again. But I don't really understand this, because I thought this was too quiet to be true, this position. Knight b3, look, it's about equal, 0.25. And I don't get this. Why couldn't, is b6 possible? So either knight b7 or knight c4 are apparently possible. Even knight b7 is possible. So even the technical knight b7 and bishop h2 is given. Why not bishop c7? Oh, b3, you see, look, this would be a killer. This check on this diagonal, this knight and bishop are coordinating on d6 here. So the engine's actually giving in this position. Bishop takes h2 is a crazy move being given for some reason. This is crazy stuff just to trap the knight. Okay, but still white will be better after b3. And this check. See, that king's slightly exposed, isn't it? On e7 in these lines. So he's got a small advantage here. So the other question, why did black have to play bishop takes c4 soon? He plays bishop takes c4, and that's actually given us one of the best moves. Why couldn't you have just played knight c6? Again, rook fd1, white's still better. I think it's all to do with this and this and this and the king being here. I think that's a major problem. So okay, let's go into the game. So he gave up that light square bishop, and then again I thought it was, I don't know why g6 was played. Surely that's not a move here. So g6 didn't probably need to be played. That just seems crazy. I mean, even king f8, let the pawns be doubled. It's not a big deal to have double pawns here. That would be an advantage to black, believe it or not, guys. So why did he play g6? He's like emphasizing the bishop. g6 doesn't look good to me, g6 intuitively. Let's see if I can get a bigger board anyway. Has my engine crashed? Trying to unload Houdini. Oh dear. Oh dear. Laptop's hanging. Oh dear. We're going back into chess base. Sorry about that. So white's getting an advantage here. So is g4 actually technically a good move? That's interesting. G4. I've just got to, let's try with just Ribka. Ribka's more stable on my machine. From now on, Ribka, right, will do. Yeah, we're just going to use Ribka. Yeah, it's slightly more stable. Okay. And I'm just going to stick the analysis down here. No, we can't see everything. Okay. Board. Hang on, I'm just going to arrange. Big engine. Big engine. Nope. Actually, we could just get rid of that to have the engine underneath. We can get with the board here. So that's kind of cute layout, isn't it? Should we go with that layout? Yeah. Yeah, I thought that's cuter. Yeah. Okay. So that was big engine and then removing the right hand panel. So we see white has a small advantage here. So rook. So g4, is that really a good move? It is actually highlighted g4 as one of the strongest moves. Okay. h6. Bishop retreats. Rook c1. I didn't see the major problem still though, the threats on the horizon. So in fact e4 is given as an idea here. e4, which seems like a committal pawn move. Allowing knight f4. So I wonder about this e4. Would any of us have been tempted with e4? Apparently bishop g7 is strong. Technical move. Just to nab a pawn. And if the pawn moves? e5. Interesting concept. Big advantage. Because there's going to be bishop f6 check skewering... winning the exchange. Ouch. So Magnus missed that e4 idea. Okay, instead he plays h4. Still small advantage. And he's sealing up the dark squares now positionally. Intuitive play. Okay, very good intuitive play. He's going to get his rook round the corner soon. and he doesn't mind losing a2 coming up. So he plays bishop e4, positional sacrifice of a2, because he knows that this rook manoeuvre is going to be really dangerous, especially across this 7th rank, if he can get it. So with one rook exchange, then the rook comes round the corner with rook h1 rather dramatically, and then it's just a neat little combo coming up after knight e5. There's nothing really to do about f7 here. This is a simple and strong move. Knight e5. Houdini likes it. Simple and strong. And another simple and strong move, bishop d5. Very, very forcing. And you see that this stranded knight, well, it's no good for defending e7 here. So check. And rook h7. And all of a sudden, you know, this latent resource is all very useful behind the scenes. So black's just getting killed here in all the variations. So just a quick thing. If king d6, then check. And then if king e5, there's that beautiful mate. You know, rook e7 mate. So there's doesn't appear to be any decent defensive moves. So if rook e8, there's knight takes g6. And here there's like bishop a3 probably is very good. Bishop a3 just intensifying the pin. Or there's even apparently just taking. And g6 even. Wow. That's another way to win. Just for g7 there's going to be like queening. So there are many ways to win the position after this deadly rook invasion to the 7th rank. So that was a kind of magical transformation. I don't know what you guys think of the game now. Seemingly sterilely played in the opening with this d takes c5, but it all came together kind of magically later on. So Carlsen had some small positional trump cards. Then he uses a great deal of dynamism, sacking the a2 pawn to further, you know, accentuate his advantages, transforming into something very, very concrete all of a sudden. Okay, comments or questions? Otherwise, I'll save this and we can look at another game today. I think there was another decisive game. Any comments? I'm about to save the live stream now. Fruit Pig writes A2 is materialism. Yep. Matt writes, try to run Houdini at 2 CPUs, not 4, so you don't get 100 CPU. Maybe you can tell me how to do that later. Okay, that's cool. Thanks, guys.